So I'm starting a little vlog now for Shorty September. I'm gonna do a full kind of a week of reading shorties, and yeah, I mean that's the vlog. I already read a book. I read The Lamb Will Slaughter the Lion by Margaret Killjoy. This one I've had on my shelf for a little while now. This came out 2017, so I probably have had at least a couple of those years anyway. I really liked this, and it's a shorty, yeah, so it is 125 pages and very cool. So we follow this girl named Danielle who is looking for kind of reasonings behind her, you know, sort of an old friend of hers, longtime friend of hers, who had recently died by suicide. And she's kind of going to the kind of the last kind of known place, you know, that he was, just, you know, trying to find, just looking really. Both of these people are sort of travelers living kind of off the grid, hitchhiking and squatting and that kind of thing. So, you know, living on the fringes, shall we say. And so she comes, we open up, she's hitchhiking with this man, and she's like, drop me off here. So seemingly in the middle of nowhere, but it's a little town called Freedom, was it Iowa? Freedom, Iowa, which is a town that has been abandoned for some, I forget now the reason, but has been, you know, currently lived in by this sort of community of squatters who are just living an anarchistic, whatever, lifestyle. Again, living on the fringes, and you know, have their own kind of sense of community and that kind of thing. But something happened previously in which a sort of spirit, I don't know what you call it, was summoned to kind of take care of some business. And it is this creature here, this 3-antlered deer. And what happens once that thing has been summoned, story goes from there. That's all I'm going to say. As things kind of upend on itself, as, you know, sort of power dynamics between this community, like I said, has been set up and things like that. So story goes from there. It's a little, like I said, witchy vibes, as just this community, which seems to be doing well, but again, there's always cracks in that kind of thing, right? Where maybe things are too good to be true, and someone usually messes it up for everybody else, right? So I really enjoyed this really nice dark imagery here with this this guy who has a name, I don't remember now, but and then other things. Yeah, really good, really fantastic. And there's a book too. I really want to read that too, because of how it ended off. Yeah, so really enjoyed this. I used this for the prompt. I forget the name of the prompt, but the prompt that's like a title you feel could be long, could be shorter. Even though this is a great title, it's long side, but anyway, Shorty September. I'll check in later. I just finished Waif by Samantha Kolesnik, and I'm kind of speechless, and I flicking loved this book. So I'll think about it and try to talk about it tomorrow. Okay. Wow. Hi, shall we check in? It's Tuesday. Just got off of work, waiting for my son to get home from school, off of the bus. So let's talk a little bit while I got a little bit of time about Waif. I read this yesterday. This is by Samantha Kolesnik. Yeah, lots of, I had to think about it a little bit, you know. I had to think about it a little bit because I still think this is excellent. Still really love this. And but why? I don't know. It's just something, it's just like one of those stories I think just kind of gripped me, you know. Our main character's name is Angie. She's in a relationship, she's married, but her husband's a real jerk, very abusive physically, verbally, you know, that emotionally. And she is just, at times, she's just really disconnecting from everything. She has this really, I don't know, strange mix of emotions kind of surrounding her feelings about her husband, I think. Hatred and stuff that goes along with being an abused person, but I don't know, it's a lot. It's kind of a jumbled kind of, I think, for her. And, you know, she disassociates a lot, particularly to the sort of fantasy of what she deems this was kind of perfect man, with his looks and everything. And so one day, while in the grocery store, she meets this guy who looks like her ideal perfect man. And that starts the story on this sort of downward spiral that we end up as. And yeah, it was just fantastic. So she becomes like I said, slightly obsessed with this man. And she and her husband, I don't know what else to say, because I really don't want to say much, but they just end up doing some things. And we learn a little bit about Angie's past, how she maybe kind of ended up in this kind of relationship, just things that she's gone through. A lot in here about just women putting up with a lot of crap in their lives, you know, from family members, from friends, from lovers, from husbands. A lot of, I think, being just unhappy in relationships in general. And kind of what that, you know, those feelings, especially if I think maybe been married for a little while now and things aren't what she thought they'd be, that kind of thing. And then, like I said, it just gets real dark. It's really dark, a bit depraved, a bit violent, a bit, I don't even know. The wheels go off the wagon a little bit. And I just loved it. I just thought it was really wonderful. I loved this sort of dark underbelly that we saw of the society that was unearthed through Angie and her husband going through this thing that they're going through, you know. Yeah, I don't know. There was lots in here, some really profound language in here, some really wonderful writing. Yeah, this was great. I don't know. This was great. Really, really loved it. Shorty September. I didn't look at the prompts. I'll have to see what prompt this fits. So, I don't know. We'll have to come back to it. I forgot to look at the prompts before I started. But anyway, today at work, I listened to the audiobook for Lanny by Max Porter. Also excellent. Also, I thought pretty damn excellent. And what an emotional roller coaster ride. I mean, yeah, we go through it all in here. Lanny is a young boy. He and his family, his mother and father, have moved to a small village outside of London. And you just started, kind of started life over. And Lanny's, I don't remember if they say exactly how old he is. He's 8, 9, 10-ish, I'm going to say. And he's kind of an odd little duck, right? He's a quirky little guy, but he's also really wonderful and special. And when I was reading about Lanny and the things that he does and the way that he speaks, the way he interacts with the world, the way he interacts with people in the village, I fell in love with him so much. Oh my God. Like I said, just what a special person. And I kind of had tears in my eyes reading about him because he's so wonderful. And like I said, just the way he moves through the world and observes the world, and what a special boy. Anyway, also in this little village, there is this sort of, I don't know, like a folk tale or urban legend of old Papa, what's his name again? Dead Papa Toothwort, yes. So he's kind of, like I said, this folk legend of, like kind of used to scare kids, better be good because dead Papa Toothwort's gonna come get you, yada, yada, yada. But we get perspective from dead Papa Toothwort from here. So maybe he's not a legend after all. I love this imagery of this perspective of dead Papa Toothwort and the way he moves through the world, almost shapeshiftery like, and can take many forms, and how he has been observing the people of this village, and very super interesting. So part one is just getting to know this family, getting to know the people. There's also this sort of older artist guy who also really connects with Lanny after his mom asked him to give him art lessons, because he's like this very well-known artist who just lives in this small place. And the wife is as an author. She's writing this like thrillery, like murder mystery type book, seems like. The dad like commutes back and forth to London. He's just living the kind of humdrum life, but we do see some cracks in their marriage, as well as there's, you know, like I said, maybe some unsatisfactory things in their life. I don't know, just, you know, like I said, peeking through sort of the windows of these people, right? And then part two, freaking flips everything, and we are plunged into a nightmare. And I don't want to give too much away, but I'm telling you, my gut fell. And the whole part two, I was just literally like on the edge of my seat listening to this audiobook at work. And yeah, and then we get part three and we finish up. But I don't want to say too much. I think if this has been on your radar and you haven't read it yet, just read it, because it's beautiful, beautifully written, beautiful language. The audiobook was fantastic. Highly recommend the audiobook. There were several voice actors, you know, playing some of the roles, and they did a fantastic job. But even like the physical book is really wonderful. Like you see, there's, you know, the way that it's written is interesting too at times. You got words going over each other. I think it'd be because I did listen to this all at work, but it would be a really fun, like, to read and listen at the same time, because you get the structure of how, you know, it's set up and everything. Anyway, I just really loved this. Absolutely stunning, beautiful, a bit of darkness. Yeah, I don't know, just an emotional roller coaster, but I love Lanny so much. So anyway, two hits back to back. I don't know what I'm going to get into next. I need to look at my pile over there to see what I can do next. But for Shorty September, it's only Tuesday, so I've got this whole week planned for Shorty September. So alrighty, we'll check in later. Here we go, a little pile of books here. Oh, I've got this one. That one does look good. Oh, we got Bedmakers Pizza. Did we want to read that one? Oh, okay, maybe I'll actually dig into this. Just kind of read this throughout the rest of the week. This poetry by Lucy Snyder, because I know one of the prompts was to read some poetry. Okay, so that for sure. Oh, I did want to read that. Maybe I'll dig into this next. Hailey Piper's newest one, Cranberry Cove. Okay, yep, that's what I'm gonna do. All right. Let's do a little rapid fire update. Today's Thursday. Where am I on my short reads? I've read quite a bit. I read Cranberry Cove by Hailey Piper. I really enjoyed this. This was really, really good. Spooky vibes for sure. We're following these two characters as they are coming into Cranberry Cove, which is this old, dilapidated, empty hotel. And something has happened to their boss's son. They seem to be some kind of like, I don't know, like mob people. We've got a trans woman and a man who are these characters. Kiddos in the background, like always. Okay, so anyway, so something has happened to their son, their boss's son, and it kind of seems a bit traumatic. Something's happened, right? And so they're going to check it out, try to figure out what's going on, try not to start this turf war of these, like, I don't know, gangs or whatever. Okay, something spooky and creepy is going on at Cranberry Cove for sure, yes. And something is lurking in the shadows, and we figure out what it is. Yeah, it's pretty good. Not necessarily just typical kind of like haunted house type of story. There's something else going on here for sure. And I'll tell you, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I really liked it. Hailey Piper always sets a good scene. Always has super interesting characters. No different here. The horror hits. Yeah, good stuff. Really good stuff here. I really loved it. Okay. I pulled out the audiobook at work. This was not on my TBR, but I was looking for short audiobooks so I could listen to at work. This one was available, I think, through Libby. And The Reader by Bernard Schlink. This is a translated work. I had seen this movie, I think probably when it came out quite a while back. So this is translated from the German by Carol Brown Janeway. And I remember really liking the movie, and so I picked this book up at a thrift store. Who even knows how long I've had this book, but anyway, yeah, this was really good. This is just a really interesting story. We follow this young man. He's not a young man. When we first meet him, he's a teenager. He's like 15, 16 years old. And through circumstances, he meets this woman who's maybe like in her mid-30s or so, early 30s, mid-30s. And she like helps him on the street doing something or whatever. And so he goes back to thank her like for helping him out. And he's like just sort of immediately drawn to her and attracted to her. And they kind of start having this relationship involving sex. So there's that. There's sex with an underage kid in here. And that's kind of the first section of the book when he's, you know, he's with this, you know, he's with this woman and all that kind of good stuff. All that kind of thing, right? And Hannah's her name. His name is Michael, right? And then we find out something about Hannah. And so if you've not seen the movie, I don't really want to spoil it for you because it really is quite an interesting twist. Not really a twist, but like just an interesting part of the story that really calls into play this these mixed feelings you have, you know, when you know someone in your life and then you figure out they're not quite the person that you thought they were. Yeah, I don't want to say much else, but I don't know if it says much here. Okay, it does say a little bit on the back, but it doesn't say necessarily everything. So, just a really good book. Like, it was just really beautifully written. The characters were really come to life on the page, and yeah, I don't know. It's good stuff. I really liked this. Really glad to have finally read it, and yeah, it's good. It's really good. The audiobook was great. It was narrated by Campbell Scott. Ugh, he's such a good narrator. I listened to him read something else before. So good. Today at work, I listened to a couple short things, couple shorties. Comemadre by Roque, Larraquy. I forgot to write down the translator. This is translated from he's an Argentinian writer, so translated from Spanish, right? This one, I don't know. Okay, this one was a little bizarre, a little weird. And I'm not sure, I don't know if I got everything, you know. This is a book in two parts. The most chunk of the, probably about 75% of the book, we're following these doctors in like 1907, I think was the timeline, in Argentina. And they have these like wacky ideas about exploring death, after death, what happens after we die, that kind of thing. And so they kind of bamboozle these like cancer patients to like to come in, and they're really just looking for their bodies because they want to decapitate them and see what happens to them after they die once they're decapitated, because they hear like you got like your brain is still functioning for like 9 seconds after you're decapitated. They're like cutting the heads off all these people. I don't know. It's a thing. There's one of the weird doctors has this weird like crush on one of the nurses. I don't know. It gets really kind of weird. A lot of like body things going on. Okay. And then like the last quarter of the book, we shift 100 years in the future. We're following these artists who are also kind of fascinated with body, disfigurement or dismemberment of body in some of their artwork. I was thinking that was possibly the tie to the stories, being like body stuff. I don't know. It was kind of strange. And again, I'm not quite sure I totally got it, but it was interesting. It was pretty interesting. I'll say that. And then most recently, I listened to the audio for Trafik by Rikki, Ducornet, and what I honestly, a little gem of a sci-fi story. Very quirky, very weird, a bit whimsical, kind of light. It's not anything, it's not super, dense or anything. It's a short little thing. It was like 2.5 hour audiobook. We're following a sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? A not naturally made human, but her name is Quiver, and she's on this ship, and with her sort of robot pal named Mike, and they work together on this ship, and they kind of like just do odd jobs, or like mining, they do things. I'm not sure how far in the future we're set, but we do learn that Earth is no longer around, right? And so on one of their jobs, they something messes up and they're like, oh crap, we're gonna get in trouble. And so they decide, let's just go rogue and head for the planet of Trafik, which is kind of off the grid kind of thing. And supposedly really, I guess, great place to live. I don't know. So we follow them as they're heading to Trafik, and then a couple of things happen along the way. It's a really, I think, a character study here of what, of course, what a future for humanity looks like, once we lose our world and are exploring throughout the solar systems and what's out there. And I think also a really interesting look into loneliness, and just, when you think about just floating through a little ship through space and you're the only human there. And yeah, Quiver was a really interesting character. And I don't know, there's really whimsy with the language here, kind of almost like a made-up kind of language, a lot of weird, we use of phrases that, we don't know what they're saying, but you get the gist of it, because it's like some invented slang or whatever. So I feel like the author had a really fun time writing the book, just inventing interesting phrases and slang terms and stuff. So yeah, it was just kind of fun. I don't know, kind of light and fun, a little strange, a little quirky, and I really enjoyed it. And I had never heard of this author before, but I'm definitely gonna look out more for her to see what she's got going on. It was pretty interesting. So yeah, I am nailing Shorty September. I am still making my way through Lucy Snyder's poems. I did read part 2 yesterday. So I'm into part 3 now, which is titled, it's titled something. It's titled, oh, this is going to be good. With Torches. Okay, that's going to be interesting. Alrighty. I also want to start the Council of Animals. I think that one is calling to me, so I'll put that in my bag because I got to get my son to his therapy appointment right now. I'm going to read that while he's in his appointment. Okay, it's Friday, TGIF. Let's check in. Yeah. Did I tell you I started this? I don't remember now. I started Council of Animals by Nick McDonnell. I am a little over halfway finished with it, but I'm trying to remember, do page numbers. It is 193 pages. So far, it's kind of a delight, actually. So far, I'm really enjoying it. And real quickly, what it's about is it's a sort of post-apocalyptic kind of setting. Something has happened to the world that's called the Calamity. And most humans have been wiped out, leaving behind the animals. Basically it starts out with a council of animals. There's a bear, a bulldog, a cat, a crow, a baboon, a horse, and they get together at the beginning of the book because there's a little, a little band of humans that are still existing, trying to survive. They're not, because there's not really a lot of humans left on the planet, it seems. And so they're like, what should we do? They caused all this, right? Humans did. And they're like, should we let them be, or should we kill them and just get rid of them? Because, they caused all this, right? And so that's what they do. They take a vote, and it goes from there. And it's like I said, it's just kind of wonderful. I mean, there's some serious things going on here because they're really talking about killing humans, but there's also just a slight whimsy about it, I think, because we've got these like animals and they have their own language. It's a sort of language between animals called grok or grak. I can't remember now what it's called, but that all animals speak, and that's insects, mammals, reptiles, birds, everything, speaks. Grok, I think it says. And look, see, there they are. These are the councils, so these have basically been nominated to take the vote. So it's kind of scattered throughout. You do have some little illustrations of things. And yeah, so I'm really enjoying this. I'm really enjoying it. Today at work, I listened to another short audiobook. It'll probably be my last audiobook for the week because I usually listen to my work. And today's Friday. I'm off work now. So I listened to They by K. Dick. Okay. I don't remember how this ever got on my radar, but it had been on my radar. And I was looking through Audible for short books that I could listen to, and then that are part of the like Audible, what do you call it, Audible Plus? Things you listen to for free if you have an Audible subscription. And there it was, and it was like 3 hours maybe. It was pretty short. I was like, oh, I remember wanting to read this, right? This is kind of a, I guess you call it like a classic sort of piece of dystopian literature. And so this was written in 1977 and by K. Dick, who is a queer author. And yeah. And it was sort of lost. There's a really great introduction by Carmen Maria Machado, actually. And she talks about how this book was sort of lost to time for a little while, and it didn't sell well when it was first released. And so, yeah, like I said, just lost to time. And so I guess more recently it had been picked back up and republished again. Fantastic. Great. Yeah. We love to see it. This was really interesting. So we are living in this sort of world where we only know them as they, I don't know if they've taken over, or I guess you would say taken over. I don't know. They are kind of making the rules. They are doing the things in the book. But we don't really know who they are or what they are. Are they some sort of subset of government? Are they freaking aliens? I don't know. We don't know. I guess you can kind of glean what you want from them and make them look like what you want them to. And so we're following our main character, who it seems, once upon a time was a writer. And in this sort of world, it feel, these groups of them and they go around and are basically getting rid of art and creators of art, and that's writers, painters, any kind of art, music, whatever, any of it. And so there's these groups of artists, really, who are stuck in this line of, do I still try to create and save, pieces of art, trying to hold on to the memory of pieces of art. There's one character who's trying to remember sort of like classic, pieces of music, like, like Bach, or, like old, like, so, music. How many times can I say that? Yeah. And this is essentially sort of a set of little stories that are all tied together, as we follow this main character as she, interacts with other people in, you know, in this kind of world or whatever, which is, you know, Earth as we know it, I think. You know, I don't feel like it's like another world or anything like that. But yeah, they will come in and just remove books off of a shelf when you're not home, and then you come home and all of your books are gone. Like, right? And so, and you know, as they are doing this, if you fight back, boy, the consequences are real and violent and damaging for sure. I don't know. I think a lot of people don't like this book because of the way I think probably because of the way it's structured, probably because of the unknownness of it too. I feel like if you know, not knowing who they are, some people probably wouldn't like the ambiguity. But there is just an undercurrent of like absolute, what's the word I'm looking for? Like uncomfortableness, you know, throughout everything, because they are just sort of always lurking, and, you know, and so people are kind of living on eggshells, right? Especially if you are not kind of towing that line of the rules and living by how they want you to live now. And because again, the consequences are pretty dire. And I don't know, it's just this, I don't know, it was just a very interesting book. I really liked it personally. And I think, you know, it's something to think about, like, what is a world without art, and what kind of world would that look like? Be kind of boring, right? But also I think it goes to show the power of art, you know, visual art, written art, whatever, music, and as a mode of control when taking that out of a society is very palpable. And so for me, that's kind of what I was taking away from the book. So yeah, I really liked it, and I'm so glad that I read that. Yeah, that was so good. I really liked it. It worked for me. I don't know. So yeah, so that was great. So yeah, it's Friday night, so I'm gonna read this. I have to go to a movie tonight. I have a kind of a K-pop concert movie I'm going to tonight, which is so fun. And then yeah, Saturday, so I'll check in later. Y'all, I just finished this. This is so good. It's just, I can't even really explain it. It's just something so different, so interesting to think about, and I don't know, I just loved having this perspective of animals and having their own language and everything. It's just, it was so good. And that's all I'm gonna say. It was really good. If it sounds like interesting, you definitely just give it a go, because I think it was really great. Just really charming, you know? Yeah. Yay! Hi y'all, so it is Saturday night, so I'm going to close out this vlog. I did finish Exposed Nerves, poetry by Lucy Snyder. Such a great cover, isn't it? Yeah, and I enjoyed this. You know, I am not a poetry expert. I don't know how to necessarily talk about poetry to know if, you know, but I enjoy these poems. When I read poetry, I find I enjoy it, you know, but it's just not something I pick up a lot. And again, I don't feel like I'm very smart enough to know how to speak about it, but I really enjoyed this collection. There was 4 parts. So the poems are sort of themed. Part 1 was dark matter, so I got, of course, had darker things. Part 2 was you might feel a slight sting. Part 3 was titled with torches, and then part 4 was final frontiers, which those poems were really interesting because they were all science fiction poetry, which I don't know that I've ever read any kind of like sci-fi poetry like that. I don't know. It was super interesting. Yeah. You know, I don't know. I enjoyed my time with it. That's as I usually do when I read poetry, you know. So yeah. So that's that. I had a freaking amazing week reading these short books. So many I cleared off of my shelf. Oh my gosh. Read What You Own challenge is going great for me right now. So yeah, I just had a really great time knocking out these shorties off my list, and I really enjoyed everything this week, honestly. So just a fantastic reading week. And so thanks to the host of Shorty September, Post Story Time, and Too Many Heathers. I'll link them below, of course, if you're not aware. But yeah, I had a great time. Now, so next week, Week of Weird starts, so I'm going to be digging into that. I'll be vlogging for that. There'll be some more shorties on my reading list for that as well. And then, yeah, so that's going to wrap it up for me today. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you're doing well. Let me know if you've been reading shorties, because they're so easy to knock out, right? Really fun to read. So yeah, I'm going to leave you here. Thanks for watching. Bye.